Call to order of a special meeting of the Goodyear City Council, 27 September 2006. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we pray for your granting us enlightenment in this meeting. And also we wish to thank you for assisting us in making the purpose of this gathering possible this afternoon. And importantly, obviously, we want to ask for your assistance and guidance and protection of all those serving this country in Iraq and Afghanistan. Amen.
Amen.
We have 6 of our members of council here today. Vice Mayor Cavalier is overseas this week. We have no minutes to approve or expenditures to ratify. Do we have any communications from any council member or from the public? Okay. Opportunity now for any citizen to make a comment on any subject which is not on this afternoon's agenda. Would anyone like to make a comment on a non-agenda item? We do not have anything on our consent agenda. We'll now move to business, and we have 2 items, both related, and Mr. Scott Ruby will lead us in these discussions, and he'll do them both at once. First will be the MOU with Rose Properties for the spring training facility, and then he will immediately follow with the MOU with the Indians, and after that we'll have comments from the public and questions and comments from the council.
Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much. I am Scott Ruby with Gus Rosenfeld. It's been a pleasure to assist you in these endeavors. I'm also not Brian Dahlke, and that's a good thing, and I know Brian Dahlke, and he thinks that's a good thing. So. But I bring his name up because without his tireless efforts in this regard, what we're here today to consider would not have come about, and I think all of us need to pay due regards to that incredible effort that he showed during the course of a lot of months. And joining me at the table here would be Eric Judson with JMI Sports and John Ruggieri with Rose Property Southwest. Again, through the just incredible assistance and perseverance of these 2 gentlemen, likewise, we've been able to produce this product for you to consider this afternoon. It has been a long process, and again, I have not prepared anything to tell you about, but I want to march through the MOUs, and I also have not brought up every staff member at the City of Goodyear who's been responsible for, in no insignificant way, a serious contribution to all of what is going on today, beginning with Corey and Kim and the manager Steve Cleveland and Rourke, and it goes right down to the clerk's office. Everybody has been incredibly cooperative and helpful in this venture, so I appreciate that, and I'm sure you do too. What we have today are 2 memorandums of understanding. As you know, in order to obtain a spring training facility into any jurisdiction, we would be looking for financing from this Sports and Tourism Authority. They require that you have an MOU from a team. They also require that you have land control, and they also require that you have financing within your control so that you can finance the facility. We believe we have accomplished those 3 things, and we have accomplished them through a team effort. We have accomplished them over the last many months, and we are very grateful to, in fact, the Cleveland Indians, who we'll talk about in a moment, for being willing to consider moving to Goodyear, and I think enthusiastically looking forward to that process. We believe the STA will be impressed with our application. We have an application which, again, speaks to the land control issue without doubt. It will speak to the financing by the city, by the STA, by the developer, and the Indians themselves with respect to the use agreement and the revenues that will come about for that I think they'll be impressed with. It'll be a financing that is not too dissimilar from what they've done in every other Cactus League jurisdiction, both single-team and 2-team facilities. So we're excited about getting our application together if you approve these MOUs today and proceeding before that board. The first MOU that we have for your consideration today is the MOU with Rose Properties and the Wood Family Enterprises. As you are aware, I believe that you all have background on this, and so you know where the spring training site is. We anticipate and we expect and hope that we get 2 teams. We would require 120 acres in order to accommodate those 2 teams, both practice facilities, clubhouses, and a stadium. In the event we have just 1 team and we intend to move forward on that, we will need fewer acres, but it will still be located in the same area. In the event we have 1 team only at the current time, we intend to continue to hotly pursue another team, and we're going to do that for quite some time. The developer, the landowner, has graciously said that they will continue to reserve the land necessary for the second team all the way through another year. So we have an opportunity to move forward in that regard. Now, with respect to the MOU, I know some of you may not have what went out in the packet was a near final draft, and I would like to just slowly march through with this Memorandum of Understanding between the city, the Rose Property Group, and the Wood Family Enterprises. For the most part, it obviously recites that we would intend to have a spring training complex available in 2008 with respect to training facilities, and a stadium available in 2009. This stadium will be unlike any other stadium in the Cactus League. It'll be integrated, or is intended to be integrated, into a mixed-use commercial and office and maybe some residential component with respect to a village, ballpark village kind of concept. So we're excited about that, to put this community amenity right in the middle of what we presume will be a very active economic area. We think it'll be a great springboard for the city center area also. The Rose Group has, and the Wood family has, agreed to dedicate all rights-of-way and easements and public access as necessary in order to make the spring training facility work. That kind of clause is necessary, as you find in Section 1.3, in order, because we have such an integrated project, we anticipate that there'll be parking facilities that are used by both, and there'll be walkways and shops, corridors, which will be used by both participants in the spring training games and the commercial development. So we're really going to have a nice coordinated effort there, and we've got a commitment from the landowner to cooperate in that regard and to dedicate what's necessary. When, as I mentioned, the spring training facilities, the actual practice facilities will be ready by April 1st, 2008. The ballpark ready by February 1st, 2009. The Rose property and Wood family have agreed to convey the property necessary to house the ballpark, a ballpark which will be 8,000 permanent seats, approximately 8,000 permanent seats and 2,000 berm seating. Again, similar to what you see in other Cactus League venues. It's anticipated the stadium will be, as I mentioned, in the middle of the retail complex, and the training facilities will be slightly to the south of that. The training facilities, as I mentioned, will be for 2 teams. Initially, if we have 1 team, we'll go forward on that basis. The training facilities, as you'll see in the Memorandum of Understanding with the Cleveland Indians, will involve, again, a fairly traditional package of what you find in the Cactus League, which is 1 half practice field, 2 major league fields, and 4 minor league fields, together with clubhouse facilities. Those practice facilities, including the 4 clover-leafed design ballparks or fields, will be available to the city for year-round use other than during the spring training time. So we get that opportunity to house our baseball programs, be they youth or college or high school, at those types of facilities. The Indians want to have a year-round presence here, and so consequently the clubhouse and the 1 major league field and a half infield will be available to the Indians on a year-round basis, so that they can conduct extended spring training as well as player rehab and things like that at the facility. So they're going to be a part of Goodyear, not just during spring training, but it'll continue on. The boundaries of this site, although we have conceptual site plans with respect to how things will be oriented on the site, will be determined specifically if and when we get funding and we go and hire the proper professionals to do all the boundary searches and that sort of thing. Parking facilities, as I mentioned before, we intend to have a shared kind of parking arrangement with the village, ballpark village concept. And then we get into the dollar side of things through this MOU, and I can cite to you, it is very similar to what you've reviewed before, and what we anticipate in the case of a two-team complex, a facility costs about $77.5 million is the estimate we've been working with. We are obviously put an estimate that we believe will be valid for a period of time here, so there will be an opportunity, we hope, in the future to maybe pare some of those costs down, because through cost savings, or maybe the costs haven't escalated at the rate that we anticipate. We also expect that maybe there'll be some opportunities as we integrate the ballpark itself into the mixed-use area, that there will be some shared expenses there, that some private development aspects will be, such a part of it that they'll be paid for privately as opposed to publicly. So there is that opportunity also. The city will issue its $10 million of general obligation bonds. Those monies will be used for the facility itself, either as a payment for the land or directly as payment for the cost of the facility. In addition, as you know, that area needs to accommodate a lot of traffic, and so there's some public infrastructure needs in that area, and the city is going to pledge through this MOU to construct approximately $10 million, or at least have $10 million available for the infrastructure need, the widening of the roads, Australia and Yuma, et cetera. That's 20. We obviously will issue our Public Improvement Corporation bonds to finance the remainder, of which we expect a substantial portion to be reimbursed by the STA. As an incentive for the donation and the continued development in this area, the city is excited about having a chance to work with the Rose Group in connection with their economic development efforts. There is, because of the significant contributions being made both in the land and in the infrastructure financing, we have a sales tax incentive in this agreement not to exceed $5 million and payable only from a 50-50 split of sales tax from revenues generated at the project. So there's an incentive there to really go out and beat the bushes to get that area to become a thriving economic engine for the city. Lastly, we have some conditions. Obviously, we've tried to hone those down as to what would trigger going forward, and obviously the biggest one is getting a Major League team to sign. We think we've accomplished that, and the second largest one is getting the STA funding on this, and we're going to take that opportunity to them in a couple of weeks. So with that, the MOU with the Rose property is fairly straightforward and fairly direct as far as their commitment to sell a portion of the land and donate a significant portion of the other land that's necessary for the spring training facility. And you want me to entertain questions on that, or would you like me to get into
Why don't you proceed to the next?
Okay. Now, with a great deal of excitement, and I should probably let Eric do this, because Eric has been the liaison, certainly, and has the ear of the ownership of the Cleveland Indians, who've been an absolute delight to work for. They even their lawyers are the most pleasant group that I think I've come across when it comes to lawyering. So it's
and you would know.
And I would know. Being one of those, I would know. We do have a Memorandum of Understanding. Again, in detail, it does parallel what some MOUs have had in the past and have been presented to the STA. So what they see in here shouldn't be too surprising to them. It's in a format that's fairly consistent with what has been done in the past. It talks about the fact that this facility will be used by the Cleveland Indians pursuant to a use agreement, the form of which they have been presented, a form of agreement which is very common to the Surprise, the Peoria, the other spring training venues. There's kind of a common template from which to start. We have presented that to them. They seem fairly comfortable, although that we'll bring that agreement back to you at a future date. This facility will be used by them under the terms of that use agreement for a period of 20 years. They have the option to extend that for an additional 2 5-year periods. The facility itself, as I described earlier in the land MOU, will consist of a ballpark located on a parcel of land approximately 6 acres. It'll seat 10,000 people. It'll be state-of-the-art. It'll be integrated into the commercial and retail development in and around the stadium. The practice facilities for 2 teams will consist of what I mentioned before. The Indians have requested that in lieu of one of a half practice field, that they have an agility field. Again, keeping in line with their commitment to be here year-round, they need the agility field to allow their players to run up and down and do their exercise and training, which is much more a part of modern sports than it used to be. But they want that type of area integrated in, and so in lieu of a half-practice field, it's anticipated there'll be an agility field. These improvements will be publicly procured. It's intended that we will find a contractor to do both or separately the public infrastructure necessary together with the facilities. It's anticipated that the Rose Group will serve as a project coordinator for that effort, so that the effort to build the spring training complex will be part and parcel with their effort and vision, the shared vision of the city and the Rose Group for the area in general, not just plopping a spring training facility down in the middle of nowhere and then hope it fits. We've tried to cover that by having the integrated project coordinator and looking after both interests. We have a fairly tight time schedule on this. In order to meet that spring training facility open in 2008, we obviously need to get before the STA and get that approval as quickly as possible so we can begin the design and get going on this project. So the Indians have committed in this MOU to Goodyear, and they've committed through the end of the year. That forecloses a number of options that they might have, both maybe here, but certainly in Florida. And so we appreciate their confidence in not only Goodyear, but the STA with respect to making this kind of commitment, because basically they have said we are coming to Arizona when they have agreed to this. The project itself, as I mentioned, will consist of about 120 acres. It will be constructed by a contractor who's publicly procured. The financing, as I mentioned before, we intend to have $10 million of GO bonds, $10 million of infrastructure, some developer contributions, together with the interim financing coming from the issuance of the Public Improvement Corporation of the City of Goodyear's sales tax revenue bonds. The substantial portion of that to be reimbursed by STA proceeds which, again, we have examined pretty thoroughly. We've been given by the STA their projections as to cash flows at that level, and we are very comfortable that they will be able to pay their two-thirds share of this spring training facility. In fact, we believe they probably have more money than necessary to pay their two-thirds, but that's a good thing for them and us. So we look forward to talking with them about that. The MOU does speak just generally with respect to those annual costs, both annual debt service and the annual O&M and capital replacement costs. Again, those were arrived at in review of other spring training venues in the Valley, and so we're comfortable that these numbers reflect a pretty good indication of what it's going to cost the City of Goodyear in the future on an annual basis. As I mentioned before, the next section deals with the use agreement. The Indians have agreed to pay a rental fee of $100,000 per year, and the other terms and use the facility for 20 years. The use agreement, as I say, they have reviewed, and fortunately they feel pretty comfortable with it. And fortunately, from an STA perspective, it is very similar to what they find in Surprise and Peoria. The operation and maintenance of this facility, I can't emphasize enough, this is a public facility owned and operated by the City of Goodyear. It will be consequently maintained by the City of Goodyear, and we've made some covenants in the MOU to the Cleveland Indians to maintain that in accordance with the current spring training standards of Major League Baseball, which is causes a pretty attractive facility. You also see in the MOU a breakdown of the revenues as they will appear in the use agreement. The breakdown of those revenues is very typical of what you find in the other use agreements for spring training. In fact, I think they might be identical to Surprise, and I think those might be identical to for the most part, to Peoria. Now, there's tweaks. In some cases, somebody gets more beer revenue than somebody else, but in our case, I believe we're very much in line with what you find in the Surprise scenario. The last bit is just the miscellaneous stuff that the lawyers have to put in with respect to maintaining insurance and all that sort of thing. But again, I have been involved with this process for a number of months, and it has gone more smoothly than I think anything I've been involved with, including Bank One Ballpark, and and everything else. And again, it's in large part due to the cooperation of the Cleveland Indians first and foremost. They've been very respectful to our situation with the STA with respect to trying to tie up a lot of loose ends. And of course, it couldn't have come about without Brian Dahlke, Eric, and John. So with that, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure anything I can't answer, Eric or John can.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to the public for any questions, but before I do that, would anyone at the head table wish to add a comment?
Well, Mr. Mayor, members of council, on behalf of Rose Properties and Wood Family Enterprises, it's with great pleasure and pride that we're here today. We've come a long way, and we couldn't be here without the cooperation. It's great work, especially on the part of Brian Dahlke and Corey Spiegel and also Scott. We appreciate broad staff support, your support on this. We appreciate the support of the community because they have also expressed their support to us. And we're just very, very proud that we're members of this community and that we can work in partnership with you to bring Major League Baseball to Goodyear. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric? Anything? Corey, do you make a comment? Okay, opportunity now for anyone in the public who would like to make a comment or ask a question. Okay, we'll move to the council, and I'll go around the table if I could, but first I'll need a motion. Would you like to do a motion on each, or I think that would be the best thing to do.
Two separate.
Yeah, let's start with the land.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move that we approve Memorandum of Understanding with Rose Properties Southwest, LLC regarding the sale, dedication of land necessary for a Major League Baseball spring training facility and direct staff to proceed with development agreement.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Antoniak and a second from Councilmember Scott. Open for discussion. We'll start with Councilmember Holland.
Well, I just was concerned about making sure that we got the right monies that we expect to get from the STA. And we know that we're going in with one team. And what is their history on that?
Mayor, Councilmember, the STA and its really kind of its partner in this whole process, the Maricopa County Stadium District, and actually there's also a Stadium District in Pima County, has for years funded spring training baseball. Their predecessor, or again the Maricopa County Stadium District, funded at a 2/3 level a number of single-team facilities, Mesa being one, the Mariners or the John F. Long Maryvale facility being another. And the law certainly says that they will fund, they must fund, or the rule for funding is that it's 1/3, 2/3. We have real high expectations that they're going to welcome this project with open arms in light of the fact we're bringing somebody from Florida to do spring training in Arizona. We're not looking to relocate anybody. We're trying to bring a brand new entity back to Arizona to spring training, so we anticipate an enthusiastic response, coupled with the fact that we believe their revenues are sufficient to support this project and maybe beyond. And so if there are other opportunities for them with other funds, so be it. But we expect enthusiastic support and look forward to talking with them about it.
Okay. Thank you. We're enthusiastic, too, as you can tell.
Councilmember Scott?
I don't think I want to say anything or add anything. It's just going to delay the vote, so I'll pass.
Oh, I'll delay the vote. I want to thank the mayor for his tenacity, for going after it when we lost the first team, that you kept with it. And I also would like to commend again, as everybody else did, the staff and the Rose Corporation along with the Woods. I really appreciate all the work you've done. Thank you.
Councilmember Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a question I have on number 5, item number 5, dedication of the land necessary to construct either a one-team or a two-team facility. I think there needs to be a correction there. It stipulates Rose Properties would reserve the land necessary for expansion to a team facility a 1 year. That's for a 1 year period. Maybe that's been corrected already on your...
It's the COAC. He's referring to for number 5 in the
That's
COAC.
on the COAC, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was in the allow me, if I could, to recite what the terminology is in the MOU. Thank you. The MOU states that in the event that initially only one Major League Baseball team commits to conduct spring training at the spring training complex, Rose will reserve for a period of not less than 1 year, after the effective date of this MOU, sufficient land on the southern parcel, which is where the training facilities are, to allow for practice fields and a clubhouse necessary to serve a second Major League Baseball team.
Okay. Well, they're not less than 1 year, kind of takes care of my question. And that was a concern for me because you realize how much time we put into this to just attracting one team, let alone trying to get another. But I think the format has been established that this is probably a springboard for another team to give serious consideration to Goodyear.
Mayor, Councilmember Sousa, that's correct. And as you know, things are a little bit in flux in Florida in light of their funding scenarios that will probably come to a head in early October. And so we're hoping for another opportunity to speak to Major League teams about Goodyear.
The second question I have is a definition of the private and municipal ownership. Could you define what the responsibilities or ownership is going to be by the city of Goodyear and by the Wood family?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Sousa, the city will own, operate, and maintain at its expense the ballpark and the practice facilities. The practice facilities include 6.5 fields and an agility field and a clubhouse, 2 clubhouses for 2 teams. They will maintain those on a year-round basis. The expenses, utility-wise and maintenance of the clubhouse, inside the clubhouse, will be the Indians' responsibility. So we will have no responsibility relative to their lockers and their locker room and that sort of thing. So if somebody gets mad for striking out, we don't have to repair the locker that catches the bat. Those boundaries of those properties will be delineated, obviously, in a survey, and those will be city land. In connection with parking, which, as I mentioned before, will be integrated into the private development, the MOU provides that the city will be provided permanent, irrevocable interest in in the parking facilities so as to allow adequate parking for the spring training. However, that is anticipated to be on private land. So we will have use agreements and easements that will speak to that issue, but we will have an irrevocable right to use it for spring training. And obviously, with respect to the ballpark, we're going to keep it clean. After events, we're going to clean it up, and the walkways around, we're going to have to keep that clean. But once you get onto private property, it becomes the private property owner's responsibility.
And that includes any type of construction, hotels, restaurants, and things of that nature that will come with this project.
Mr. Mayor, yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Antonio?
Not much to add, just an exciting step in the city of Goodyear's history. And, I know we've gone around the room and thanked a lot of people, but I think one of the things that kind of puts a twinkle in my eye as a city leader is the fact that a longtime family is involved in this, and the Wood family in partnership with the Rose companies. I think that means a lot. You guys are growing with us as we grow, and all of you will be able to take your kids and your grandkids out to this site to a ball game and say you helped build it. So it's an exciting day for you. It's an exciting day for all of us. But it is probably step 2 or 3 and 100 steps to go. Forward ho, and let's get to the finish line as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you. We'll go around one more time with the agreement on the Indians, but let's take a vote right now. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We have agreed to approve MOU with the Wood family and Rosewood Properties. And we'll sign that. Do you want us to sign that?
Mayor, why don't we wait on that
Okay.
until we see what the outcome is of the second? And I know Mr. Kenneth Wood is here to sign on behalf of the Wood family, and Mr. Jack Rose is here to sign on behalf of the Rose Properties, but I'm not going to anticipate a vote on the next item until it happens. Keep it in line with my open meeting law responsibility.
You want to hold your breath until that comes about?
Okay, could I have a motion, please? To deal with the Indians. Yes.
I move the council approve the memorandum of understanding with the Cleveland Indians pertaining to the financing, design, construction, use, operation, and maintenance of a Major League Baseball spring training facility, and direct staff to proceed with an application to the Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority. So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Souza and a second for Councilmember Lord. We'll start with Councilmember Holland again. Councilmember Scott.
I just had one thing, and you knew Scott Ruby did address it, but under the use agreement, I know that it's implied that Goodyear will be able to use the 4 practice fields. I would feel more comfortable either in a use permit or however we do it, that it did define that in words that the Goodyear citizens will have that use rather than read between the lines. So that was my only concern.
Mayor, Councilmember Lord, certainly what you're stating is exactly consistent with what the parties have agreed to, and I will make that clear in the use agreement itself.
Great.
That the clover leaf of 4 fields will be available to the city.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, this is a great day, not only for the Indians, but for the city of Goodyear. And it's something we've been looking for many years. We failed once, and unfortunately that's a shame on that individual for not being here and doing what we're doing now. I owe him one, and this is the time to do it. I want to thank everybody for bringing these negotiations to a conclusion and to a happy ending. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you especially for the effort that you put forth in bringing this team to the city of Goodyear.
Thank you. Councilmember Antonio.
I couldn't say any more, other than look forward to the first game.
Okay. Well, I'll just, before we vote, I do also want to thank everybody that's been involved. For everyone's information, we had some top-quality people doing this. JMI Sports was very well represented. Rosewood Properties was represented well. The city was. Scott Ruby represented the city also. But our staff was superb throughout the process. It was lengthy. The council was superb, always supportive, and I thank everyone for that. Another one that we really enjoyed was the Cleveland Indians. Several of us visited with the Indians at their stadium, and then they visited here, and if this passes, we'll probably have the president here next week or soon, very soon thereafter. But they are a fine group of people. I found them, I thought, trustworthy, and I think in Major League Baseball this is one quality organization. So in getting the Cleveland Indians, I think we're getting the type of people and the type of organization that we would like, because that's the type of organization we are. So it's going to be a good mix. This is a really an important step. I think a lot of people didn't think that we'd get here, but we did. We have 2 MOUs signed, and they'll be taken to the STA, and that's what the STA wants and has to have, and they're going to have it real quick. And we're just about ready. We're trying to get on their schedule to brief the STA and apply for funding. So we're there. It's going to be done in the very near future. There's no certainty associated with this, but throughout the process, sort of like I-10, we did everything right. We followed the rules, we followed the book, and we did things the way they should be done. So we cannot be criticized in any way from the standpoint of our procedural emphasis in this regard. But we're ready, and I know our people in Goodyear are enthusiastic, and they want this, and I think we're ready to deliver in 2009. So all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, 6-0. We're going to now move to a call to the president of the Indians, who's also, by the way, the part of the ownership family. He's the son of the owner of the Cleveland Indians. His name is Paul Dolan, and he's awaiting the call, and he wants to talk to us all a little bit about how he feels about coming to Goodyear. And then we'll do the signing in conjunction with that. But first off, let's all, to the extent we have one, let's don our hats. Whoever's doing it. Are you doing it? Yeah.
Paul Dolan.
Hi, Paul. This is Jim Kavanaugh.
Hi, Jim.
And I'm very proud and pleased to inform you that the City of Goodyear has just approved 2 memorandums of understanding, one with the landowner, who we're really looking forward to working with, and another with the Cleveland Indians, an organization which all of us admire. It's an organization in baseball that stands for quality, and I believe we do in the City of Goodyear. So I'm looking forward to us achieving this challenge. It is that. I'm looking forward to us being together for many, many years in the future. So from all of us in the City of Goodyear, all of us, 50,000, we welcome Paul Dolan and the Cleveland Indians to the City of Goodyear.
Well, thank you. It sounds like you're not alone there. It is clearly a great day for the Cleveland Indians, and I hope, and it sounds like it is equally a great day for the City of Goodyear. Let me first thank you, Mayor, and the City Council, and the citizens of Goodyear for this invitation to come to your community and the opportunity that you've presented us. We are very excited about that. I'd like to also to compliment you and the team that you prepared on this project. I know that you folks have been working at this for a very long time, and throughout the process you represented your community professionally and made it very, very attractive to us. It is not an easy thing to relocate your facilities across country, but you folks made it appealing to us, and we know that it will be a great thing for the Cleveland Indians and for the community. I'd like to apologize for not being with you right now. This unfortunately has been a day where I could not get away, and I look forward to the opportunity to get there, and we had talked about it as soon as maybe next week. But I look forward to getting out there and to you and I have met, and I've met some of your team. I'd like to meet the rest of it and start this process that we have now entered into together. So thank you, and I think good luck to all of us as we go forward here.
Well, we all second that, and we thank you, and we're looking again forward to a long and fruitful relationship, and I really believe we will have that. So, Paul Dolan, again, welcome to Goodyear, and I hopefully we'll see you next week, and we'll give you a tour of our fine city and introduce you to some of the people in the valley that we'd like you to meet.
Well, I very much look forward to that.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Is he on?
Yeah.
Paul, are you on? No. Did you want to say that?
No, I thought he had one more thing to say.
Oh.
That's all.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, as Mr. Dolan pointed out, he expects to be here next week. I would like to have that postponed until after the 10th of October, since I will be away, Dr. Scott will be away, and I understand that the Vice Mayor will be away. I think it's important for the entire council to be here to greet Mr. Dolan and show him the unity that we've had down through the years in this effort. So I would ask you to ask Mr. Dolan if he can adhere to that type of a schedule.
I'll certainly ask. Is it the 10th?
Anything after the 10th. Anything after the 10th. And all of us will be back then.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll need to see if we can work that. we definitely want to get on the STA schedule as
Yes.
soon as possible. So that's the crucial element. And by the way, we do want him to meet with the governor and others, so that it's important that they have a relationship also. But if I can do that, we will.
Okay, thank you.
I promise you
appreciate
that. But we'll see how that impacts the overall schedule. Okay. All right, it's time to sign. Ken Wood and Jack Rose.
Hey, big guy.
That's for you.
I have a University of Arizona cap over there I brought from my brother. I can't stand it, but it was in the back and I couldn't get to it quick enough, so excuse me, Pug. I'm proud to wear this, too.
Jack and Ken, if you'd like to say something, say that.
One more signature there. One more. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for asking me to say a word or two. I don't know how to say a word or two. Six Susan there, he knows. Laughing the hardest. Standing in front of this group today is, speaking for my family, I can't say how thrilled we are to have a mayor and council and a city manager and Corey Spiegel, who has worked so hard on this. I can understand. I read it, one of the press releases that she's a senior manager, I believe. Senior, what was it? Senior? Senior? Development manager. Senior development manager. Not in my eyes, she's not. Anyway, such a thrill. John and Eric, and of course with the support of Steve behind everybody here, it's just great. You know, as I was sitting here, I was just thinking how I wish we had brought our mother here, Pug. My sister's up elk hunting today. It's more important to her with a bow. But my mother's going to be really mad when she finds out she's in Litchfield that we didn't invite her down here today. She's 93, and she would give anything to be here. But I think of it real briefly. Let me tell you a story that I've always remembered because it was so precious to me. We moved into our new home there in 38, Christmas time. And a week or two later, Dad came in from work on our farm, and he was wet from here, muddy shoes and grease on his clothes. And he came in one night for supper, and Mother said, "Honey," she says, "I'm so excited today." And Dad says, "Why? Why are you excited?" She says, "I counted 6 cars that came by in front of our house today on Estrella Parkway." She would look out the window looking for a car to come down because it was a scene back in 1938 to see somebody come by. So I always remember that about my mother, and it is so true. Just to think that our father's upstairs watching right now, he'd love to have been here today because he stepped on every foot of that soil. And it's going to be kind of sad in a way to see this cleared off and put into a ballpark in one way
selfishly because Pug and Polly's children and Sharon and my children have all worked on that farm as they grew up. And it's you that have a home and something that's you've been there for a number of years. You know what it's like to give it up when you walk away from it for the last time. And so it's a bittersweet deal, but yet it's more sweet than bitter. So thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Council, and all that worked so hard. Thank you.
Okay. Thank everyone for joining with us today, and we're looking forward to a partnership of many different parties and elements, and I think all of us are optimistic right now, and we should be, and we will be successful. So thank you very much, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.